My man.
La, what floor?
Penthouse.
Thanks, bro.
I'm on black, gonna for you. I'm on black, gonna for you.
Hey everybody, this is going to be my Black Lightning episode 2 video. Fantastic episode. My man, we got our version of a Netflix Luke Cage style hallway fight, and we got to see Anissa use her powers in a more conscious way, even though it was still reflexive. She was just responding in the moment. I think the next episode is when we'll start to see her be more active about it. I love the way she reacts to it, like she's just rolling with it like, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, back to bed, back to my girlfriend. So I will say, just because I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video, careful for spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. There were a couple more big comic book Easter eggs, mostly having to do with Thunder's character. Lightning still hasn't manifested her powers yet, but she's on this downward spiral, like drinking in the middle of school when your dad is the principal. Very clearly, she's going to get herself into a situation where she'll have a freak out moment like Thunder does, and her powers will manifest too, but they'll be a little bit different. She's a track star. Like, you can see her eyes light up in the first trailer that they dropped, so you know it's going to happen pretty soon. But we have to say, the music is fantastic in this series. Maybe they're able to spend more on the music budget because it's only 13 episodes instead of being 17, 18, 23 like the other DC TV series. But whatever they did, like the actors that they chose going with older actors that were a little more experienced, I think was a really good call because all the performances were fantastic. I think it all just goes back to the idea of them trying to do a more mature story and why they want to insulate it from a lot of the other stuff that's going on the other TV shows. Like, a lot of people have been pointing to the way that they get their powers. Like, they're born with them, they pass them on biologically, like the daughters are not going to get powers. There are probably other people that will pop up. On the other shows, most people get their powers from dark matter explosions, speed force lightning, or just random accidents. But a lot of people have pointed out the funny fact that even though they changed the setting of the city to Friedland, originally Black Lightning was from Suicide Slum, a slum of Metropolis. In just right away, you notice the contradiction. Why would Superman allow a slum to exist in a place that he called his hometown? So it's almost like there was a place in Metropolis that Superman never visited, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So naturally it makes sense that Superman and Supergirl wouldn't pop up every single week. Because sort of getting into the meat of the plot, you have Black Lightning finally going after Lala, and they do a really good job of being very clear with their progression. Like, video game, you work your way up to the final boss. Mid-boss is done now. It'll be interesting to see which other mid-bads pop up before he has a confrontation with Tobias Whale, because he's the big boss. Obviously, that big final fight isn't going to happen until the finale, which is still at least 11 episodes away, but there are a lot of gangs in town, so I have a feeling, you cut the head off of a Hydra, 3 heads grow back in his place, so there's just going to be other gang members that will rise up from the comics that he'll take down on his way to taking down Tobias Whale. But by the time we get to Tobias Whale, I think that we'll have Anissa in a comic book costume, in possibly Lightning too, but it just remains to be seen what they're going to do with the Lightning character, because right now she does feel very juvenile. Of all the actors' performances, I feel like hers was the weakest, but all of her scenes that she has with Black Lightning and her sister are all great. So if you're not as big a fan of some of this kind of stuff, I have a feeling that you'll get to more superhero family by the end of the season. And a lot of people have secretly thought that this is going to be a Batman Beyond show eventually. Not right away, but eventually they'll get to the point where Jefferson Pierce, like you can see him racked in pain as it looks like the lightning is eating his body alive, eventually gets so torn up that he does have to take a more support role, and his daughters, who are just coming up, take a more active role. So anytime you see him writhing on pain in the bathroom floor, shoveling painkillers into his mouth, just remember that one of his superpowers is not regeneration. Eventually, his body will give out. But we can talk a little bit more about how the show is using his powers as we continue to see, because I'm expecting some minor changes from the comics. But speaking of powers, the daughter is pretty much confirmed to be a female version of Luke Cage. Now, we'll see if she has any other powers, because we saw her hand coursing with what looked like energy. You can call it red lightning. It's just a little bit different from Jefferson Pierce's lightning. But like I said in my episode 1 video, she basically controls her molecular density, so she can make herself super dense, which gives her a measure of super strength. So I don't know if they're going to take it in a Luke Cage direction, because you can hurt Luke Cage, it's just that you have to ram the gun down his mouth. It's only his skin that's indestructible. The next couple of episodes will probably clarify that, if she has the same weaknesses as Luke Cage. But it's not like Superman's super strength, where he's essentially like a solar battery, so the more sun he soaks up, the stronger he gets. There will be a limit to her strength, and that just sort of backs up the idea that there are consequences to what the heroes are doing on the show. Like, that's why you see Black Lightning writhing in pain. because they want to make it seem real. Like imagine Supergirl, she got her face bloodied up, but there was no visible blood. And just in the second episode, you saw a bunch of people get killed at close range with handguns. So it's just way more hardcore than the other TV shows, and I think people are enjoying that. Just a little more realistic, serious take on the material. But I do like the idea that he could be addicted to his powers. Now, I think that both his wife and Peter Gamby are wrong. Like, there is an element of thrill that you might be addicted to, but I don't think he's literally addicted to his powers. But I do think, they talk about addiction on this TV show. Addiction will eventually kill you. His love for what he does will eventually kill him. But I love Peter Gamby's line, we're all gonna die someday. Like, if you're gonna die someday, you might as well doing it something worthwhile. So you can't be too mad at his wife, but the way they left it at the end of the episode tells you what's going to happen. Like, she's like, I'm not having any of this if you're gonna continue to be Black Lightning. So that's why she walks out the door. He sort of accepts it. But here's the thing, if the daughters get powers, and he has powers, and the mom knows about it, then does that mean that they can all be special together? Because him having powers is what she treated like a curse. It drove him away from their family. But if almost everybody in the family has powers, wouldn't that bring them back together? So I have a feeling you'll see that play out over the course of the season. So I do think that eventually, if the wife is alive at the end of the season, which I think that she will be, she and Jefferson will get back together of a fashion. But they'll probably just start doing it again. And speaking of doing it, so Anissa confirmed has a girlfriend now. And they made a joke about it, like, what's that girl's name? I can't remember. Chenoa. So she's totally fine. But in the comics, Anissa's girlfriend is actually Grace Choi, who's an Amazon from a splinter tribe from the Themysciran Amazonians, who is also a character on the show. So Grace Choi is a character on Black Lightning, but she looks much older, so I don't think they're going to do the comic book relationship, or if they are, it's going to happen way, way down the road. But remember the way the Flash TV show treated the Wally West Linda Park relationship in the comics. Like, they didn't even bother to go there. In fact, Linda Park dated Barry for a little while. But we'll see. It's only episode 2, so it's a little too soon to tell exactly how they're going to do all the comic book characters. But for the most part, I think it's wide open. The other thing they teased was a little bit of Peter Gamby's history. So, he's not just a tailor. I talked a little bit about it during my episode 1 video. But James Remar, the actor, said that we would get an episode explaining why it was that he was helping Jefferson out so much, why he became his Alfred. So everybody just let me know what you think of the episode so far and any Easter eggs you spotted that I didn't mention. And let me know what you think of Tobias Whale's character. I have a feeling that his connected nature in the community will become a little more complicated. Like, you'll learn that he's connected to some of the more legit seeming people inside the school. Like, you have Miss Foudy here, who seems like she's trying to get up on Jefferson, like she wants a piece of that. So just don't be surprised if this organization, the 100, that has been around for so long and been so powerful, does not have its tendrils in other aspects of the community. But probably the best tip-off for that is that Tobias Whale was just able to waltz into the police station, kill Lala, and then walk out without anybody looking at him twice. Like, you didn't see the police captain anywhere, so it sounds like he has some sort of implied relationship with him. So the plot thickens. Remember, it's only episode 2. So real big news, though, is that we might get some new Infinity War footage tonight. There's a new Flash video that I'll probably do Friday explaining who that mystery person is writing the Speed Force symbols and just piece all that information together in a really linear way. But otherwise, a whole bunch of comic book stuff dropping really soon. We also found out we're getting a new Deadpool 2 trailer pretty soon, too. Congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Desda Parks. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. I'll announce a new winner when I post new DC, so no worries. Click here for brand new Flash, and click here for my Easter eggs from episode 11. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.